Welcome to Startup Confidential, what industry insiders will never tell you that you need to know if you're building a consumer brand. With your host, best-selling author of Ramping Your Brand, Dr. James Richardson. Let's do this.
Welcome to episode 128. One industry pro, please. Look, if I thought being smart and scrappy was enough to scale a consumer brand, hell, I'd probably be doing it. I certainly see a dozen or so fertile spots in the grocery store worth the attempt. In the last episode, though, I explained why I'm out. Personally, it's the seed money thing. I don't have $250,000 to throw away. I don't have the stress absorption muscle to suck fumes and chase short-term loans and run up credit card debt just to survive. And I doubt I ever will. Beyond seed money, for a well-launched CPG business, there's another enormous elderly elephant in the room. And it's what I want to talk about with you today on this episode. The collective, shocking inexperience of your average solo founder. Shocking. I don't care if you worked on your 4 early stage ramp up tales of glory so far. You did it in just one business function, most likely. And so that's what you know. Be honest. You are not actually a generalist. But now, as a founder, your responsibility is for every business function, including the ones that quietly annoyed you or featured the personage of your deepest nemesis on some former leadership team. Can you, the solo founder, really acquire professional competency in all major business functions fast enough to survive into phase 3 when your cash flow can finally pay for professionals to join you? Yes, you may have one strength, I get it, but why put yourself into the professional development equivalent of Navy SEALs training when you could actually find a co-founder and use equity to hire them who complements you well? I say this because there is more of this kind of spare talent available now than ever before in the industry's history. Some of these folks have even banked income and savings and are actually hungry to take a risk with their experience. Now, I've worked with a few truly bootstrapped founders who made it into the 8 figures with no prior CPG experience, but almost never a solo founder who's pulled that off. It's super rare. I have enormous respect for this to the rare few who have pulled it off, but you are exceptions that I can't turn into a rule, let alone advice. If all of us can recognize that it takes a cross-functional team, however inexperienced, to scale a CPG company, then why would most of you not spend extra time finding the right co-founder to complement yourself, since most of you are drumming this up alone? Now, my favorite example of doing this is Bill Shufelt, who co-founded Athletic Brewing with the master brewer, John Walker. Okay, the business was seeded with a fair amount of money, to pay John well enough, I imagine. But the real incentive for him lies in the future. And without John, I doubt that Athletic Brewing would have scaled as quickly at all. There would have been lots of product issues in the first couple of years. And, vice versa, a master brewer who can't raise money isn't going to be able to set up the right pilot facility. Or be the face of the business. So they're a good pair with complementary strengths. And so many underestimate this kind of synergy when planning their solo venture. If you want to be the sole owner, fine. But you should at least plan to hire a complementary professional pretty soon. Now, who should you be hiring? Well, I recommend founders find someone with 10 to 15 years of complementary functional experience within early stage companies to bring onto the team. Less than that, it won't actually help you very much. More than that, risks bringing in somebody who is no longer in growth mindset mode. Now, that's just a heuristic. If you can find a clear exception, ignore it. But 10 to 15 years of functional experience in early stage brand building could deliver you really, 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 really important scrappy expertise in marketing or PR, supply chain or ops, sales or R&D. Your offering and its competitive positioning and market timing too will tell you which of these functional strengths you want on board right away versus later. Because you can't hire a full C-suite. I mean, unless you've raised 20 mil. Um, so you have to think about what expertise you need now versus later. If you are the visionary marketer or finance geek or sales genius founder, then you should be finding a co-founder who is great at ops. You see how this works. What you do not need ever is a clone of yourself. You do not want to work with anyone who would actually prefer to work with a clone of themselves either. If your offering is not very complicated technically, and it has less competitive insulation from copycats, then you may need to focus on hiring a marketing expert to help build memorability really fast, like really fast. That's just one scenario, and not necessarily the most common one. The idea is to think about your competitive positioning so you understand better what functions you need pro help with earlier. Right now, right away. Generally, I've found that most solo founders are visionary types, great at pitching their story without deep functional expertise in CPG. And their lack of a professional CPG network is largely why they're doing it alone to begin with. In that case, hiring a great supply chain ops person is critical so that you can focus on growth activities while they ensure supply is flowing. Yet solo founders often get so lost in ops themselves that they only removing sleep would allow them to do anything related to growth in the early phases. And if you toss in a poorly conceived national retail spray, you can generate a solo disaster almost every time that a founder does not magically have that unicorn product that crushes its original test launch. Like Skinny Pop, Cauliflower, Sandwich Brothers of Wisconsin, or my recent discovery, True Fruit. Okay, a bunch of you have been biting your lip listening to this because you're dying to scream, but we can't afford anyone like that, Jay. Okay, look. This episode is meant to motivate you to do something unusual for your own long-term benefit. I didn't say it would be easy to pull off. I did. But it's long past time for solo founders with an idea to accept innovating the original team you start with is just as important as raising seed money and just as important as developing a high-quality product to take into the market. Having just one 10+ year functional expert gives you enormous advantage competitively over someone who's doing something very similar and cannot bring in this help and is floundering around by themselves. But you want to find someone who has the following characteristics and financial motives: autodidact, humble, curious, fail well, not status oriented, prone to experiment, not contemplate. Not perfect managers or leaders. For more on these traits, please listen to episode 100 of Startup Confidential. I go into a lot of detail. Finally, by bringing in this kind of professional early on, understand the added benefit. They're going to be social proof for your company that you, the amateur, actually are cut above the others. You will now seem more professional yourself to all sorts of stakeholders. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of seeming more together and professional than you actually are. It's all theater. Life is theater, guys. If everything I'm recommending means delaying your launch to find the right professional co-founder, then do it. I give you permission. Launching is more expensive and competitive than ever before. Lots of talented pros are in the early stage world right now, so it's imperative that folks do not launch brands as goofily as they did in the 90s. Please. If you can take product development and seed funding seriously, then take forming the initial team just as seriously. All right, that's my rant for this time. And remember, be safe out there.
Thanks for listening. Remember, Dr. Richardson has loads of resources for founders at premiumgrowthsolutions.com. And when you're on his site, don't forget to take his founders quiz and see if you're ready to ride the skate ramp of exponential growth.